Hey everybody, welcome back. The pickup pile keeps shrinking, and the repair pile, I think it is shrinking some. We have a new addition at the end there. We'll walk down there and meet him. A couple 201s. You've seen these a few times. These are going to be on my bench this coming week. A 170 for a bar and chain. That may not make it to video. We'll see what happens. I think you've seen enough 170 bar and chain videos by now. 291 that doesn't run correctly. 261 with a blown up clutch. A 291 for a bar nut. That may not make video either, if that's all it's here for. An Echo that won't start. A TS360 blowing gas out the exhaust. And I just had this dropped off. Customer says it hasn't ran in 75 years. Sharpen the chain, give it a quick tune-up. He has some limbing to do next weekend. That's a two-man saw. Hope he's got a strong friend. Echo that won't start. Get on my bench. Good morning. Welcome back to my workbench. If you're new here, my name is Erica. Welcome to the channel. Today in the bench, we have this Echo CS600P. We have walked by this saw many, many times over there. I know a lot of you have shown interest in wanting to see this video. The fellow who owns this saw is in no rush. He has 2 other saws at home. But today we're going to take a look at this and take care of it for him. So when he dropped this off, he said, it will not start. So that's all I know about it. The day he dropped it off, I was outside coming across the parking lot, and I could see a gentleman in the parking lot on his hands and knees trying to start this saw. He brought it in, he dropped it off, and he went home that day with a Stihl MS250C, which is a 45cc saw with easy start. This is a big saw. This is a heavy saw, and this is a difficult saw to start. I looked up some specs on this, and this saw dry weight is 13.3 pounds. That's with no bar, no chain, no bar oil, no fuel in it. So this power head is 13.3 pounds. So that is a chunk of a saw. And I looked up the specs of a similar Husqvarna and Stihl. And if you had the 3 comparable saws side by side, I think the Echo would be the heaviest of them all. So he has called back since and just let us know that his new Stihl, he loves the weight of it and he loves the way it starts. He is able to easily start it. This saw literally brought a man to his hands and knees out in front of our shop. So we may find no faults in this saw. This just might be a case of a man who is unable to start a saw this big. But since it's here, and a lot of you want to see this, we'll just do a walk around on it. We'll do our normal procedure, and then we'll take it outside and see if I can start it. So come along with me. Let's jump in and see what we can find. Well, here we are with our Echo CS600P, which is a 60cc chainsaw. So cosmetically, the handles, the plastics, I think this is a lightly used saw. It's just in really nice condition. If this was cleaned up, you could almost put it back out in the showroom. So his bar and chain, looks like he sharpens his chain, and the rakers have been taken down. So that's a man who I would say knows how to sharpen. The chain feels a bit gritty. Maybe he's been into some dirty wood or some trenching maybe. There's the on-off switch, the choke. It's just a clean little saw. Well, clean big saw. So let's start like we always do. We'll check his fuel, we'll check his bar oil, and then we'll step outside the door and I'll see if I can fire this beast up. Actually, there's not very much fuel in it. It smells like steel modal mix, but there isn't enough in it to start it. So was he outside on his hands and knees trying to start a saw that had no fuel in it? I guess it's possible. It wouldn't be the first time I've had a saw dropped off that wouldn't start because it had no fuel in it. It's happened with lawnmowers and weed eaters, believe it or not. Well, the tank looks very clean. I don't see a speck of anything in there, but it needs some fuel. So I'll put some fresh mix in it. It's very, very low on bar oil as well. I want to verify while I'm out there that the saw is oiling. So we'll put enough oil in it to check that. Okay, so we have bar oil. We have some fresh mix in it. This model does have a decompression valve. Chain brake is in working order. So I guess we'll just step outside with it and see what we can get. I'll meet you out there. I'll just show you something here before we go in. So the saw is oiling, but not off the bar. The bar and chain are dry, but there is oil running out of the saw. So we don't seem to have a running issue, but it looks like we have an oiling issue. I'll see you back inside. So there was an unusual amount of smoke. Kind of acted like maybe it was flooded, but out of fuel at the same time. I don't know, but it seems to start and run good now. It is producing bar oil, but the chain is not carrying the bar oil. We'll pull the bar and chain off this and have a closer look. So we can see this is wet here. The bar oil is coming out of this saw, but it's just running down. Let me grab the bar and we'll take a closer look at it. Can you see that? So on your bar, you have oil holes. And that's one. I just want to make sure you can see this. That's one right there. And it is jam-packed full of stuff. I just want you to be able to see it. I'm going to put a light on it. There, that's better. There's your oil hole right there. So if the bar oil can't get in the hole, then obviously there's not going to be oil traveling. The oil's still coming out of the saw. It has to go somewhere. So it just runs down and was dripping off the saw. So that's probably the only problem here. So we'll clean this hole all up. So there is a hole on both sides. And you can see that one there. Just jam-packed full. So your oil goes in these holes, and your chain is what carries the oil like a conveyor belt. So the chain carries the oil down the bar. But if the oil can't get in there, then you're going to have an oiling problem. So we'll get this all cleaned up. That's no big deal. So your bar oil comes out of this slot right here. And it's a slot because your bar could be adjusted depending on where you're adjusted to, okay? So that little hole that I just showed you that's plugged up lines up with this. If the hole is dirty, the oil obviously can't go in the hole. And also, the dirtier your bar is and the more dirt that's on here, that could create a problem. You want your bar, or burrs on the bar too. You want your bar sitting flush on this plate so that oil can easily enter the hole in the bar. It's not uncommon for a saw to come into me for one reason, but me to find something else wrong. So this saw came in here because it wouldn't start. Now I have no problem starting the saw, but this bar and chain were not oiling properly for him. Maybe this saw knew it wasn't oiling and it was like, no, I'm not going to start for you. Take me into Erica. I'm going to get this bar cleaned up. The first thing I'm going to do is clean the rails out. I have this tool here, bar groove cleaner. Just a simple little tool, but very handy. You can get these from Oregon. So there's the Oregon part number. I'm sure you can find these online somewhere. They're very inexpensive and very helpful. So you always want to pull away from the tip sprocket of your bar. You don't want to pull dirt into it. So just put it in there. And all that buildup, well, that's mud. This would also lead to an oiling problem because, as I said before, your oil travels in these rails, and the more dirt and mud and gunk that's in there, you're going to have an oiling problem. And also your chain is not going to ride properly in the rail. That is very, very gritty stuff. That just keeps coming. So we didn't bring this saw here for a bar clean out, but he's getting a bar clean out. I've been picking away at this for a bit. So all of this mess, which looks like a lot of dirt, not even sawdust, but like dirt and grit, came out of the rails of this bar. I don't think you'll be able to see this now, but I've got it cleaned right out. That would have been a problem. That's a good way to wear your bar, your chain, and your rim sprocket, everything out, having that grit in there. So next I am going to, I got some burrs to clean off this bar. Probably hard for you to see that. I'm going to get this bar cleaning up, get the burrs off of it, get those oil holes all cleaned out, and then we will reinstall it. I'll be right back. I have this tool here I bought from one of my suppliers, made by Oregon, made in Germany. That's neat. And it is for taking the burrs off a bar. So you would just do something like that and clean all those rough edges up. These things can get so sharp and burry. And also when they have burrs on them, as I mentioned earlier, they won't line up properly with this plate and can create an oiling issue as well. So, bar rails cleaned out, clean all the burrs off this thing, get the oil holes cleaned out, be good as new. This is quite an expensive bar to buy a new one. This is an Oregon Power Match bar. This would have been made here in Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Kind of neat they make something here in Canada because they don't make much here. So we'll get this thing all fixed up and get it back on. Some bars, not all of them, have a grease hole. There it is right there. And it's full of dirt as well. So if you were going to grease this, you wouldn't want to push that dirt down in there. So you'd want to take a pick, clean that dirt out the best you can, and then put some grease in there. So I just have this little pick. Like it's hard to get it all out. And I was told that this is why steel doesn't put these on their bar tips anymore, because people coming along and just pumping grease in there without cleaning the dirt. So you're just pumping the dirt in there. Okay, so I've got that cleaned out pretty good. Here's my Oregon grease gun. Again, made in Germany. You can get these probably at any small engine shop or sauce shop online. There you go. Got my bar all cleaned up. My chain ready. This saw, I took it out. I didn't give it the full spa treatment, but it got the mini quick and dirty. So it looks kind of like new, actually. Clutch cover cleaned up, nuts polished. Let's put the bar and chain back on it. Well, what do you think? We have a starting, running, oiling chainsaw again that looks kind of like new. I'm going to pop the top cover off here quickly, just check out the air filter, and then we'll go outside, fire it up again with the bar and chain on it, make sure it's oiling. Nice and clean. Because this saw cut any wood. Wow. I see no problems here. There's probably no reason to pull that spark plug out and take a look down into the cylinder, but I just can't help myself. Let's do it. And that there is a brand new spark plug. Before he brought it here, when he couldn't start it, maybe he put a new spark plug in it. The cylinder shows a little bit of wear. You know, I don't know how old this saw is. Maybe it sat with bad fuel in it one time, and I think he started running a still modal mix at some point. But since we're standing here, let's do a quick compression test. Looks like about 145 pounds. I'll put a spark plug back in, put this thing back together, and we'll head outside. Well, what do you think? Good to go? I'll meet you out there. Well, this Echo CS600P starts and runs well and is oiling well again. So I gave the customer a call and told him that, first of all, I found it with no fuel in the tank, so I added a bit of fuel, and that I was able to start the saw and run it without issue. I told him that I found an oiling issue, just dirt and grit packed in the oiling holes, and that I've got it all cleaned up for him, and the saw is ready for pickup. He said that his new steel, he went home with a 250C, which is lighter and has an easy starter. He said his new saw is perfect, much lighter, easier to start, and that he no longer has a use for this big saw. He's unable to use it. It's just too heavy and too hard to start for him. He said he loves the channel and he loves what I do here in the shop, and that he would like to see this saw go to someone who needs a saw. He has asked me that when this channel reaches 25,000 subscribers, that I am to give this chainsaw away to somebody. So right now the channel is, I think we're 18 or 19,000 subscribers at the time of airing this video. So when we hit 25,000 subscribers, we will do another video on this saw and we will give it away to somebody. I'm not sure how you even give away something on YouTube yet. I'm going to have to look into what the best way to do this is. So for now, I will put this saw on the shelf here behind me where you guys can see it in every video. And some lucky winner is going to have this saw shipped to them. There'll be no cost. He's donating it. I'll pay the shipping to get it to you. Isn't that exciting? Well, start subscribing, guys. Well, here we are with this Echo CS600P. It came in because it wouldn't start. It starts, it runs, and we have solved a simple oiling issue with it. The owner of this saw has offered to give the saw away to one lucky person when we hit 25,000 subscribers. I'm going to clear a spot here and we'll put the Echo up on the shelf here where we can see it and look at it during all the future episodes. And when we hit 25,000 subscribers, I'll do a short video on this and we will select a winner, and this saw will ship out to you at no cost. I have a whole bunch of saws over there waiting for me. I got to get to them. If you find any value in my content, or maybe you just find it entertaining, please hit the subscribe button and like this video. It helps me and it helps this channel. I'm going to go grab a coffee and get back to work. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.